Stories read aloud.
Barnaby's Beach Bash. Barnaby, a small brown bear with a happy heart, skipped towards the tall oak tree housing Professor Hoot's special library. Sunlight dappled through the leaves, making cheerful patterns on the path as he went. He loved visiting his wise old owl friend. Inside the cozy treehouse, Professor Hoot, a wise old owl with spectacles perched on his beak, sat behind a large wooden desk. He used a wing to point at 3 sandcastle-building tools, a bucket, a trowel, and a small flag, all neatly laid out. With the tools carefully tucked into a small satchel, Barnaby followed a winding sandy path bordered by tall sea grass. The air grew cooler, carrying the fresh scent of salt, and he bounced along, his heart buzzing with anticipation for the beach. Barnaby climbed over a low, grassy dune and gasped. Before him lay a vast, beautiful sandy beach stretching endlessly towards the blue ocean. The big sky felt wide open, and he breathed in the wonderful salty air. He dashed down the dune to the wet sand where the water gently kissed the shore. With focused excitement, Barnaby began to scoop and pat, attempting to build a tall, impressive sandcastle tower right at the water's very edge. A moment later, a wave, bigger and faster than the others, rushed in with a whoosh. It washed right over Barnaby's almost finished tower. The sandcastle crumbled quickly, melting back into the wet sand. Barnaby watched, wide-eyed and surprised. With a little huff, Barnaby gathered his tools, still standing right at the water's edge. He looked at the vast beach, feeling a little stuck. He felt determined, but wasn't sure how to outsmart those quick, sneaky waves this time. As Barnaby stood, still pondering his next move at the water's edge, a playful dalmatian named Spot and a twitchy rabbit named Skip trotted up. They stopped nearby, watching Barnaby's frustrated efforts and the patient, creeping tide. Spot nudged Barnaby's elbow gently, then pointed his nose towards an even higher, far-off stretch of completely dry, untouched sand. Skip hopped enthusiastically in that direction, eager to show the better place to build. Together, the 3 new friends made a joyful trek much further up the wide beach. They walked past where any high tide could reach, finding a perfect, untouched expanse of firm, dry sand for their grand building plans. On their new, safe ground, the trio worked in harmony. Barnaby scooped huge piles of sand, Spot packed the walls firm with his snout, and Skip carefully added pretty shells, creating a magnificent, towering sandcastle together. With their incredible sandcastle finished, Skip surprised everyone. He suddenly pulled a small, blue and white checkered cooler from behind a nearby dune. He popped it open, revealing an assortment of delicious-looking finger sandwiches. As the sun began to dip towards the horizon, painting the sky with soft orange and purple hues, the friends sat quietly, munching their sandwiches. The ocean's edge had noticeably receded, revealing a vast stretch of smooth, new wet sand. Barnaby stood up and walked slowly towards the newly exposed wet sand, leaving paw prints behind. He peered down intently, and with a careful paw uncovered a small, dark, triangle-shaped object. It was a perfectly smooth shark's tooth. Barnaby sat down, holding the smooth, dark shark's tooth gently in his paw. He felt its ancient, polished surface and quietly marveled, understanding how the ceaseless, patient tide had shaped and carried it for thousands of years. After quite some time had passed, Barnaby returned to his friends beside their majestic, untouched sandcastle. He looked from the ancient tooth in his paw to the distant, peaceful ocean and realized the tide was never his enemy, only a constant, beautiful force to learn from and work alongside.